Oh, yeah. Oh, there ain't going to be nobody here today, dude. Nobody, man. Nobody's going to be here today. I'm telling you, dude. Telling you, dude, there's not going to be anybody here, dude. They're both going to be out there, dude. Oh. Dude, what are we doing, dude? Dude, what are we doing, dude? Oh my god, dude. Oh my god, dude. It's Monday, dude. What are we doing, dude? Oh, look at all those non-members in the chat. Look at that. All right, where's my button? There's going to be a button around here. What's this button? There's a button covering up my buttons. Oh my god, my buttons! What do we do when we click in the buttons? All right, there we go. We're clicking the buttons. Baby! What's up, everybody? It's Monday. What are you doing? What are you doing on a Monday, dude? Dude, what are we doing Monday, dude? Dude, it's Monday, dude. What are we doing, dude? The hell's going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to another Monday stream. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? What is going on? What is happening? Why is there an old cell phone on my desk? I don't know, but I just looked at it, and I wondered, what the fuck is that doing here? I haven't really been in my office very much, and I'm wondering, what the hell's going on here? Are people leaving old cell phones in my office? Oh, it's my old cell phone. That's what it is. Okay, I'm dumb. I'm a dumb guy. Sorry, guys. Right out the gate, I'm a dumb guy. Don't even know why my old cell phone's sitting there. Probably because I left it there. If there really was a mystery, the mystery would be, why did he leave it there? I don't know. Why did he leave it there? We should ask him someday. Guys, boys, girls, ladies, and gents, we should ask him someday. Someday he'll come around and we'll ask him a question. The ads automator is turned off, so I'm supposed to tell people, hit the like button, become a subscriber, but realistically become a patron or a YouTube member. What are the extras as a YouTube member? Nothing, really. You just get recognition. I recognize you. Oh, no, you get access to our Discord, which I am live in right now, and you could even call into the show if you like. You kind of have like, I'm not going to say 24-hour access to me on Discord. That's not how that works. But you have 24-hour access to posting things up, and they can get responses from any corner of the world, whoever happens to be responding to your question, whether it be like fish-related or like, what do I do with my substrate? I keep rubbing the substrate all over my body. Is that helping? And you can be like, it's not helping. Stop rubbing the substrate all over your body. It doesn't make it work better. Either your body or the substrate. It doesn't help with either of them. So, yeah. So, if you have any questions, plant questions, fish questions, all that kind of stuff. We also have a political chat in there. We have memes. We have all sorts of tomfoolery going on in the Discord. You get access to it once you become one of the few, the proud, the patrons, or YouTube members. The last couple weeks have been extraordinarily hectic for your guy over here, for me. The last couple weeks have been very hectic personally. Let's break it down. I'm completely remodeling a house in Tacoma again. So I'm making this crazy drive back and forth from up north through Seattle down to Tacoma, working on a house. I'm also coordinating everything on that job. So that job is literally like electrical, plumbing, fucking what are we talking about? Structure. The building structure needed repairs, which is done now. So that's good. Plumbing is done now. Electrical is done now. We're on to mud and tape. The The new kitchen cabinets have been assembled. I have them all assembled. The new subfloor is in. The structure is rebuilt. The new exterior doors are in. There's just a bunch of shit going on. So, needless to say, it is a lofty project. Essentially, the homeowner was like, I want all of this stuff done, and I don't care. They're like, I don't care. I just want it done. And then they want to be able to sell it for a certain amount. So it's my job to go, we need to do this. We need to do that. And we need to do all of the things in order for it to sell on the market in the way that they want it to be sold. Needless to say, if I was to give the house a out of 10 score, 10 being perfect, completely, maybe a perfectly built brand new house, so that's pretty high up. That's pretty high up there. I think it started out as maybe a 4. Like, you could live in it. It had heat and it had water and a hot water heater, but even the washer and dryer were broken. But there's zero kitchen in it. Lots of holes in the walls, lots of garbage, debris, just a lot of crazy nonsense going on with this house. So it has been it'll be an ongoing project for the next, I'm guessing a month at this point, because there are certain windows of weather that we require to do things, like painting multiple buildings, exterior, getting all that kind of shit done, getting landscaping done, getting some concrete poured, blah, blah, blah. There's just a lot of stuff that is sort of weather dependent on the exterior of the house, and it has been a topsy-turvy weather pattern here the last month. But by the way, that is very typical for the Pacific Northwest where I live. It'll warm up, it'll get windy, it'll get rainy. There'll be a fucking hurricane. There was like this hurricane shit going on there for a minute. There was tornado warnings, golf ball sized hail. There was lightning. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be up on a ladder doing exterior paint work when there's fucking lightning. You know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? Is that confusing to anybody out there? Because I would love to hear from the person that's confused as to why you shouldn't be up on a ladder in a fucking lightning storm. You know what I mean? That would be weird. But yes, it's been an extensive project. There's been a lot of things going on. Last week would have loved to do a live stream. It would have worked out fairly well. But my plumber, the only day that my plumber could come was last Monday. So, needless to say, I went down and worked on stuff while we were there. While the plumber came in to do plumber man stuff. Are you guys familiar with plumber man stuff? You get the plumber bits. You get the plumber bits and bobs all up and all over your body. You know what I'm talking about? You get a little glue, sniff a little glue. Yeah. We had to do a big giant gas line maneuver. We had to move gas line. We had to remove some old gas line. So it's been a bit of a project. There's quite a bit going into it. But so far, some bumps in the road. We had to move out. We had to move out our countertop installation because we had to reschedule. We had to reschedule some electrical work. We had to reschedule the plumber a couple times. We had some things going on. And last week was supposed to be the countertops going into the kitchen, but can't really put kitchen cabinets in and stuff unless the electrical work's done, because you can't put the drywall up until the electrical work's done. Realistically, you can't put the drywall up if the plumbing work's not done. And the reasons for that is that if you put the drywall up, the electricians and the plumbers will come in and cut holes in it. And then you just end up doing a shitty patch job when you shouldn't be doing a shitty patch job. So a nice, brand new, crisp, clean piece of sheetrock up on the wall there, and so we had to reschedule that stuff. So we actually had to move the countertops to the beginning of next week. So that's how it goes. That's how she goes. You know what I mean? Like, you can't put the countertops in if you don't have cabinets in, right? I might be right about that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm fairly certain. That could be the case. We don't have any callers yet today. Why don't we have any callers? No callers yet. I figured Witchy Cat would have jumped right in with calling in, but you never know. We'll see. As you can see from the stream title, we categorically have a lot of insane shit going on in the news of late. Most of it having to do with this with the new administration. And to those people out there, right? To those people out there, it gives me zero satisfaction to sit here and say, see, I told you so. See, I told you so. I told you that Donald Trump was insane. I told you that Project 2025 was their plan. I told you that the Heritage Foundation was going to be behind this shit, and they are. And I told you that the billionaires were going to sign up because they're friends with the Heritage Foundation people, and the Heritage Foundation people said, here's what we're going to do. So if you want to have billions and make more billions of dollars, you better sign up. So we've seen it down the list of the usual characters of the robber barons of the 21st century here, with Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and the list goes on and on. I don't want to sit here and talk about all of them, but you can see that they all have just signed up lock, stock, and barrel. From, as I was talking yesterday with one of my neighbors, I was like, go look up Mark Zuckerberg when he was in front of Congress. When he was in front of Congress, strangely enough, he sat there with notes. He was wearing a suit. He knew pretty clearly everything that was going on and had answers for most everything that would just skirt around it. But then you watch Mark Zuckerberg go on Joe Rogan, wearing a T-shirt, a gold chain, and he's got his hair going, and then just sits there and acts like, I don't know what the Consumer Protection Bureau is. It's some thing that like Elizabeth Warren, aka Pocahontas, was doing so that they could just attack people. They're just like trying to attack people, and they're trying to whatever. Like, and of course Joe Rogan just sits there and nods his head, smokes more drugs, and probably takes more kicks to the head and a bunch of artificial testosterone and whatnot, and it's ridiculous when you watch those clips back to back, and you start to realize just how blatantly these people are bold-faced, just fucking lying to people. Kyle Knutson says, Joel, I'm putting trim in at my house. I'm using a miter saw and cutting it at a 45-degree angle, but it looks like crap when I get to a corner and try to line it up. You got any tips? I do have lots of tips, but you shouldn't just cut it on a straight 45. You should cut it on a 45 plus a 22, which is hard to explain with words, but I could show you how to do it on a saw. If I had a saw in here, I might be able to show you, but I don't. The saw's over there in the other in the air quote wood shop area of my place here, and it is too big and unwieldy to actually bring in here. That's how big my fucking chop saw is. Yeah. MFY, Miffy Siffy. I don't know what that means. Ahoy all, sad face you politics. Happy face for whacking goldfish. Waking goldfish. Don't know what the fuck any of that means. I guess, and I've talked about this numerous times on a live stream, and I've talked about this numerous times in life. You go like, you want to hang out and act like the world is fine. That's how we got here, right? Like, there's a lot of people, especially in the United States, that will stuff their head in the sand like an ostrich, which, by the way, I got to see an ostrich yesterday, which was hot, and I haven't got to talking about that. But there's a lot of Americans that will just fully immerse themselves in some bullshit at home, whether it be video games, watching TikTok, fucking around with their fish tanks, staring at their fish tanks, and the world is passing them by. And I believe it's the Philip DeFranco show. I'm not 100% sure who said it, but it's if you don't do politics, politics will do you. Okay? It's happening. And if you want to be able to sit around and do fish tank shit and talk about plants and stuff, you have to realize that the bigger picture of the world, as the world declines into likely a war, possibly with Panama or Canada or Mexico or apparently Greenland, we're not going to be able to do our hobbies, right? Imagine it this way. If you got up in the morning, stuck your thumb right up your ass, didn't go to work ever, didn't make any money ever, and eventually got kicked out of the place that you live at because you haven't paid rent, haven't paid the electrical, haven't paid the water bill, haven't paid any of the bills. So now you just live outside, right, on the ground. And you go, but I want to do my hobbies. So instead of doing some actionable work towards being able to have a place to live and pay for the place to live at, you just sit around and complain that nobody's talking about your hobbies, right? It wouldn't exactly have an expectation of like a positive outcome. Oh my God, do we have a caller on the line? Caller on the line.
Is
Hello?
hello?
Hello? Are you a real human?
There are days when I'm not sure about the answer to that, but for the moment, we will say yes.
That's so hot right now. Oh my God, it's so hot right now in 2025. My fucking birthday's coming up.
People.
My birthday's coming up, you bitches.
I
also,
know.
And I say that in the nicest way possible. I say friendly bitches. My friendly bitches.
I'm excited for you. My birthday's right after yours.
What's the male version of bitch? Let's look that up real quick.
Bastard. Probably.
Oh, is it bastard?
Unless you're talking dogs. And then it's sire.
Let's see. Bastard, I guess. Yeah, you were probably right. There's got to be a better one. The male equivalent would be a cur. Yeah, it doesn't really.
No.
Doesn't really roll off the tongue. Dickbag.
Bastages.
Dickbag's pretty good, but that's mean. I always feel like I don't use bitches ever in a mean way. You know what I mean?
No.
Like I never use it in the I don't actually call somebody an actual bitch. You know what I mean? Oh, I guess you could be a son. Or the silky smooth.
Well, that's still not necessarily a bad thing.
What's that? I mean, if you call somebody a bitch,
a bad thing to be the son of a bitch.
I mean, if you call somebody they're mad, that's pretty mean. It's not cool, right? Words, right?
Some of us take it on as a label of joy.
Kyle, let me see if I can find a video.
On how to
miter cut, crown molding, how to. Let's see if we can't find that. Holy shit! What the fuck button did I just push? Oh, weird. Okay, I accidentally pushed G6. I don't know what that. I have no idea what that hotkey is set up to do anymore because it opened a portal into hell over here on this monitor.
Not hell.
What letter were we missing? Letter 0. Ah, Yes. Okay, here we go. Here's a
corner.
video. Let's see if we can. I'm gonna turn the sound off here. And we'll go add source. This guy, he's doing it right here in this file. He's doing it. See how he's got it tilted? And then I got it to 40, and he's got the tilt on it. There's these little stops back here on your miter saw that you can set these. All right, so now he's going in for the 45. Bazinga. He lets it stop running when he's down. Okay, that's weird. Is he gonna do it? Okay, those fit together. When's he gonna do it? Fucking guy. We were hoping for the video that would just thing. I thought he would be doing the thing. No, he's got a cheater. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I mean, you'll just have to look up a video. There realistically is going to be a bunch of videos that show you how to do it. Like I can tell how to do it, but like when you're making a film, right? Like the worst possible thing that could happen in a film is when two people are just saying that there's a thing that happened. Like if Witchy Cat and I were here and we were just going back and forth about how like there was an asteroid and the asteroid was headed to the planet, and then Witchy Cat was like, they knew because they looked through a telescope, right? And I go, oh, what's a telescope? And then you go like, oh, it's this big thing that looks up into the sky, and and then we just sit here and just talk. That would be the worst movie you've ever fucking seen, right? But if there was like, the camera like pans in and then there's that rumbling noise in the background, it's all right, and there's like a big thing flying through space, and you're like, holy shit, and then it pans around and you see the Earth, our beautiful little blue marble out here in space, and you're like, oh shit, I'm having a premonition that space rock that was going like it's gonna hit the big blue marble,
even though it's silent,
and then it cuts to the next scene where there's some guy sitting in front of a computer, and they're wearing similar shirts like this, but they do they do the button all the way up to the top, and then they have, hold on, let me put extra pens and pencils in my pocket here, hold on.
Oh god,
you got to know
pocket
that
protector.
you got to know that this guy right here, who's like clickety clacking on his computer, and he's got 100 pencils and pens in his pocket, he's like, oh shit,
slide rule.
There's a fucking space rock headed right for us, bros. And he's all, enhance.
Which movie is this?
Enhance.
Is it going to be Bruce Willis?
And then they show the telescope. It goes, and it moves around, and you're like, oh fuck, he's inside the telescope. The files are inside the telescope. You know what I'm saying, right? You guys get what I'm saying? Like, it would be the worst movie if it was just Witchy Cat and I talking about like.
No Morgan Freeman as president. No.
Witchy Cat, what's a telescope?
It's a big metal round thing with two pieces of glass, one convex and one concave.
That sounds sneakingly suspicious. To the sponsor of our show, it's Vibrators, brought to you by Amazon. Well, fuck, I don't have the link ready. The timing would have been perfect had I just like, oh, here we go.
It would have. Yeah,
here we go.
Get
Get
link.
link.
One right there.
Get link. Copy. This is the sponsor of today's show. We have no affiliation with this actual company, but we are affiliates at Amazon. So if you go buy a vibrator at Amazon through that link, or you could buy whatever you want, we'll get a commission, and we'll get fucking billions of dollars, dude. You guys don't even know. Obviously, this is good for us, and it's a good deal for Bezos, and I don't even know where my affiliate account is anymore, so I don't even know if we've made any sales this month. Where's there used to be an earnings button here, but we don't have of it. Oh, here it is. They moved it. They hit it. So it's hard to find.
In? Oh, they hit it. Okay.
Oh, shit. 50 cents this month, you bitches. Say that in a nice way again. For some, I don't know. They changed it. No! What? Oh my God. They've changed it. They've changed it. We know what's happening anymore. Close. Is it this? Here we go. Nope. 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 Damn it. We haven't even sold any vibrators this month. You fucking bastards have been buying fucking water pumps and shit for aquariums. You guys, somebody out there's got to start jacking off one of these days. It's going to be amazing. To hear a report of it or anything like that, I just want to see that like it happened, you know? Buy a tub of lube or something. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. Who cares? We'll be launching our crypto next week. So any of you Russian billionaires want to deposit some money into our account, we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to seeing those crypto funds coming in anytime soon.
Excellent. Which flavor of crypto are we going to play with?
We're just making our own.
Is this going to be a Oh, it's going to be Corvus crypto. All right.
It's a classic rug pull, just like how our president's doing. So it's cool, right?
Nice. I like it.
It's cool, right? It's cool to do because the president's doing it. That must mean it's
right.
legal.
And his son and his other son.
Yeah, and
now they're going into Bitcoin mining.
And his son-in-law has taken $2 billion. $2 billion from the Saudis, which seems normal, right? It seems like a normal thing to do.
Totally okay. I'm waiting for my multi-million-dollar check from the Saudis as we speak. Going to buy myself a helicopter so I can get the fuck off this mountain.
You did what now?
Said I'm waiting for my $1 million check from the Saudi Arabians so that I can buy myself a helicopter to get the fuck off this mountain.
Are you gonna fly off in a helicopter? That's the most dangerous type of flying.
I don't care. At this point, I could not care less.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if you don't have if you don't have like a whole bunch of hours of flight, of like flight instrument training and all that shit, like a helicopter is like hella hard to fly. I'm saying.
I don't have a long enough stretch for a.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
All right.
Okay.
You just talk.
Hear me out.
Ahead.
I'm saying, like Super Saiyan. My hair's about to turn blonde and I'm going to get super beefy and my shirt's going to rip off and my eyes are going to turn blue. So when I go Super Saiyan, just like Goku does, how about a hot air balloon?
Good old school.
I'm saying, I'm Super Saiyan.
Are you implying that I could fill a hot air balloon all by myself? It's probably true.
Yes. All you got to do is just get the fucking hot air in there and then you start floating. And if you float up too much, you just have to pull the thing and it lets out some of the hot air and you start dipping down towards the ground.
It's kind of hard to direct those, as I understand it. You sort of just kind of go where they go.
Well, yeah, but you're just going away. You don't really have anywhere.
I do have somewhere.
Well, what do you mean? What? You're going off the mountain. All you got to do is just go up, right?
And then down. All right.
And then just start going down. I mean, who gives a fuck if you go left or right? You know what I mean? Because you're going up, and then you'll go out one of the ways, and then you just start you start out some of the hot air, and then you're going downward, right? And then you get down to the bottom down there, and you just buy a Lamborghini. And then drive it.
That's true. I do have millions.
Just drive it like an absolute dick wagon, like the guy who did a big giant burnout up the street last night.
Why would I? Okay. I don't know that a Lamborghini is going to do so well up here.
You're rich.
Plus,
You're not coming back. You're not coming back.
You are not far from the truth there.
You just set the propane tanks, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes. I got to figure out what to do with the pets.
You do that thing like they do in every action movie where you duct tape a road flare to the side of it.
Right. Turn it on and let it. Yeah.
and then somehow it
Let it fill up.
it explodes in like a very controlled manner in exactly the spot where they wanted it to explode.
Right, and doesn't spread the fire anywhere. Yeah, that's
Nah, the
always a
fire
good
doesn't
thing.
spread. Like nothing bad happens. Just a bad guy gets blown up.
That's right.
There's no shrapnel. There's no shrapnel flying around. It's
No metal
all
at all.
yeah. There's no like metal pieces flying all over the place. Fucking rocks, dirt, shit like that. Which is always the thing.
And let's face it.
It's the walking
ahead.
away from an explosion thing, right? Like these stupid ass fucking action movies where the guy's like walking away from a giant
Yeah.
explosion, and then a giant explosion
up
happens
behind
behind him, and they don't even flinch or anything. You're like,
Yeah, there's no wind, no percussion.
yeah, I mean, there's a concussive blast like hitting you at the very least, like you would, you know,
Right.
like, oh shit, that thing just hit me from behind. The explosion, right?
Nope.
I don't know. Fuck me. Fuck me. What do I know? What do I know? Nobody has hired me to make John Wick 19 or whatever, you know. So,
But
one of these days, for sure, and 7 years ago. What was that theory I saw the other day? I saw a theory. I saw a film theory the other day that just really, really got me thinking. Okay. So you guys know how Neo from the Matrix, right, is Keanu's Reeves, right? I saw a film theory that the John Wick series of movies is actually just the training program that Neo goes through in the Matrix. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh. Nice.
So you know how he like basically Neo goes into virtual reality and then he comes out and he's like, I know Kung Fu, right? That like the John Wick movies are actually just the training. Those are just the training protocols that he's going through in the Matrix.
How do we fold the Constantine movies into that?
That doesn't have anything to do with anything because you know you're gonna have to bring in Point Break and shit. You know, I mean, it's not every movie he's ever been in.
But Constantine is close enough to the other two that it could work.
There's a new Constantine coming out.
I know. I can't wait.
So it's not that every movie Keanu Reeves has ever been in. That's not really the theory.
I get where you're going.
You see what I'm saying?
I do.
It's not like what's eating Gilbert Grape or something, you know, like whatever fucking.
Have you watched all the John Wick movies?
Yeah. I mean, they're fucking boring.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem. Like John Wick, the first one came out, and it was like awesome. You're like, holy shit! There's a whole big take, right?
Right.
And then 2, 3, and 4 came out, and then it's like, okay, it's just like like imagine if you were just having like nonstop orgasms. Like you would just be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Literally, right? There are those people that have that disease, whatever that disease is called. And and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. All I need is a cure, right? So it's definitely possible that just too much of a good thing, right? And I think that the John Wick 4 was lacking the cake. You know what I mean? It was just like a bowl of frost. Like and there was no different textures to the frosting. It was just one type of frosting. You know what I mean? It wasn't like 4 different flavored layers of frosting or something like that. No, it was just like, here's a bowl of vanilla frosting, which is amazing when you have like a scoop of it. But if you sit there and eat the whole bowl of frosting, you're just going to feel like you have diabetes, have to take a nap, and probably just shit your pants later. You know what I mean? So, like, what's the upside? There's no upside.
And all your teeth are going to fall out.
But the John Wick movies were like that. John Wick movies 2, 3, and 4 were like full of fucking frosting. And you're like, I know. We need, like, actual character development that doesn't involve two guys in trench coats talking about like an imaginary conversation that they're having, right? That like two NPCs in like the worst video game you've played are having with each other. You know, it just doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't comport with me.
The worst cutscene in
them all,
yeah.
and I know what happens in all of them. I will admit that like multiple of them I ended up just watching on airplanes because I was like, yeah, all right, okay. And so it's like the downside is that like there's no to the fucking thing. It's just frosting and it sucks.
Right.
Screen Rant says that
Taken series.
apparently John Wick 5 is in pre-production right now, and they have funding. So yeah, I don't even know. Whatever. I was trying to figure out Keanu Reeves' filmography. That I was gonna say. It's like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure isn't one of programs. like there's a whole bunch of these movies.
That doesn't strike me.
Like Hardball. Hardball, where he was like the the little league thing. Oh, terrible.
I don't know that one.
Mifune, The Last Samurai.
The only reason Constantine sort of worked is because he's supposed to be God in the in the Matrix flicks, so it's kind of a weird thing. But anyway.
Well, he's not God. He's the Jesus character in the Matrix.
The Jesus, rather, but yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why
he's the Jesus
Constantine
character.
Sort of fits in with it.
He's the Jesus character in the Matrix, essentially. And then in Constantine, he's what? Is he Cain or Abel or whatever, right? Like what's that?
Yeah.
Well, because who's the angel?
I think it's Abel.
Is it Abel? So he's Cain, right? Is basically the
Michael is the angel.
Oh.
Hilda's character is Michael.
No, it's Gabriel.
Gabriel. All right, sorry.
Oh my god, you just went robot on me. How's your connection? What's going on here? Hello?
It's probably my end. I don't have the hello.
Hello? I don't know if it might be my
hello.
Speaker. Might be my speaker cord.
No, I
over
think
here.
it's me. I can. It's probably the fact that I'm coming to you from a Canadian cell tower today.
Oh man, you've been cut out of the internet.
Yeah. I have it off right now because we're on day 3 of rain.
Oh, it uses up all the pow.
Well,
we had sun yesterday.
Yep.
It was sunny out. Went to the Woodland Park Zoo yesterday. It was sunny.
Yeah.
It was nice.
How are all the animals?
One of my really old friends works at the and so I got to hang out the whole time while the kids just kind of like ran around and went crazy.
Fun.
So yeah, Tilda Swinton plays Gabriel, and so I think essentially Constantine is sort of like a Cain or Abel type inspired character, I think, but I can't be 100% on that.
He's a fallen angel, or he's left the fold. So yeah, that would make sense.
Who, Constantine or Gabriel?
Yep, Constantine.
Well, he's like reincarnated.
Gabriel is still in good with the Lord. I'm sorry, repeat that?
Yeah, I was saying, like, I was trying to figure out, I can't remember. It's been like it's been like a million years since I've read any of the Constantine shit.
Yeah, I haven't read them in a long time either.
Yeah, Imogen is the fallen angel against John Constantine. Yes. Like Dean is just like a guy, demon hunter, right? But he's also supposed to be essentially like a Cain or Abel type character. Whatever. Doesn't really matter. Are we still broadcasting? I haven't even seen any comments here in a while. But Neo never blocked a bullet with his coat. It's true. It's true. Well, did he? There was a point where like Neo blocks a bullet with something, right?
Hand.
Didn't he use his hand? Yeah, he used his hand,
it's
right?
His hand.
Yeah.
He holds up his hand and puts up like a force shield.
Well, the bullets just hit it because it's just programming, right? Because he can see the code.
Right.
Dude, what in the fuck? Why am I getting so many messages today? Oh my god, what is going on? So those of you that are wondering about Dog Watch 2025, Fergie has gone over the Rainbow Bridge. Fergie is no longer with us. Regardless of how much treatment and surgery and everything that we could get her, essentially got to a point where we had to put her in an oxygen enriched box where she lived in. She had to live in there because she's not a human. So you can't just put on a oxygen mask to make sure your O2 saturation is high enough. And then they basically tried a bunch of like autoimmune. They used a bunch of autoimmune medicines. They kept trying different ones to see if she would respond, but she didn't respond to any of that. And they didn't want to. They didn't want the steroids were the last thing that they were going to try. And even the steroids didn't work, so they couldn't get her. She couldn't get enough air, my guy, is essentially it. So we could have brought her home and let her suffocate, essentially. We could have just let her essentially suffocate while breathing air, just panting herself to death. But her O2 just kept dropping and kept dropping. And so we had to put down Fergie, which is really sad, but also just was her time. I mean, multiple vet trips over and over again. She got half of her lung removed. We paid a lot to try and keep Fergie alive, and we went through every avenue that we could with specialists and all that kind of stuff. But it was her time, as the way to really fundamentally understand it is that, like, nothing lives forever, and so Fergie has moved on and is no longer with the family here. Speaking of surgery and whatnot, Vicky went through another surgery last week. She still is cancer free, but they had some questions about how things were healing and whatnot, and they weren't really happy with what was going on, so they had to go and put her under the knife again and do a bunch of doctor cutting type stuff. And so she is in recovery for that. Can't drive for another another week and a half or whatever. It's like 2 weeks no driving while she heals. Essentially, they had to fix this connection right here in her armpit. So they did that. She's recovering fairly well. She's doing all right. She is doing way too much shit. She is not resting like she's supposed to, and I already warned her, and she's an adult, so there's not much that I can do about it to tell my spouse to, like, shut up and go lay down. She just won't. She won't listen to it, so she'll run around until she feels exhausted, and then decide to go lay down. But she's doing well so far. So, like I said, it's been a busy couple of weeks with the remodeling project. I had another customer whose attic was moldy. I don't even know how to explain that. I had another customer that wants me to tile their bathroom, which, as you can see, the enthusiasm in my eyes. Very enthusiastic about that because they want me to try to regrout it first. And I was like, just take the tile out and redo the tile. And they're like, can you redo the grout? And I'm like, for twice the price, I guess. You know, like, what the fuck? Or I could just take the tile out and we could put a new tile. So it's been a weird couple weeks. It's been a very, very weird couple of weeks. And one of the reasons that I post up about the politics, like I said before, there won't be regrouting anybody's bathroom. There won't be anybody really worried about mold in their attic. And there really won't be anybody worrying about fish and plants and stuff when the entirety of the United States just collapses into fucking chaos, you know. The United States seems like really big and really large and really impossible to overturn, but there are 350 million hungry stomachs in just this country right here. And
we're cutting food to them every single day.
Yeah, I mean, and when those people start getting hungry, they're going to start getting erratic. It's just a proven human nature thing. And we are spiraling rapidly into that utter chaos. And like I said earlier, it brings me no joy. It brings me zero joy to be able to tell people, like, I fucking told you so, right? Like, that does not make me happy. It does not make me happy to be like, I fucking told you so. These people are incompetent fucking buffoons that are robbing. They're robbing Peter just to rob Peter. They're not even paying Paul, right? They're robbing Peter and then they're robbing Paul. You know, they're not paying anybody back. They're not doing anything. I recently had to talk with somebody that was saying that Donald Trump can't be bribed because he has a lot of money. Like they were saying that he doesn't have to be the president. Like, he doesn't need this. He doesn't need to be the president. And so I said, okay. In my response to your statement that they essentially, to summarize it, was that Donald Trump doesn't need to be the president. Donald Trump is, in fact, losing money by being president because they aren't even collecting a wage, which...
bullshit.
Well, yeah, okay. Hold on a second. And their other point is that they were doing this because for the love of the country, right? So I said, okay, if he's losing money being president, would that be a good or a bad business move? What do you think, Witchy Cat?
I guess that would be a fairly bad business move.
So if you wanted him to be president because he's a good businessman, but he's losing money being president,
I'd think he was a buffoon.
I would think that he's not a good businessman. Wouldn't that immediately
That would
refute the argument that he's a good businessman and that's why you'd want him to be president? It's like, why is he being president if he's losing money? That's bad business, right?
Damn your Vulcan logic. You are correct, sir.
Yeah. So then it'd be like, but then he's a bad businessman because he's becoming president instead of doing business and making money. But they're doing it because he loves America, right? Donald Trump doesn't even know all of the amendments to the Constitution.
Yeah, he couldn't define America if he tried.
He could not define what constitutional right exists or doesn't exist, and even what number it is, right? And people would say, of course he does. And I would say, well, why are we sending people in airplanes to El Salvador under the intention that they be put into a prison in another country? It's like, that is an immediate disqualification of somebody's Fifth Amendment rights, you know?
With no actual legal structure behind it whatsoever. We're not going to take you to court. We're not going to arraign you. We're just going to send you off.
Right. You never put this in front of a judge. And the thing is when this was brought in front of a judge, they immediately said, do not send those people to El Salvador. You can't send those people to El Salvador. And then the argument from the Trump administration was, you just said that, so it's not illegal. Right? So it's not legal because you just said it. You didn't write it down. Which is ridiculous because the judge immediately said, you didn't write any of this stuff down either. Right?
And then the other excuse was we were over international waters.
If those guys are in the understanding that, like, oh, the judge didn't write any of this down. Well, the people extraditing these people out of the country didn't write any of this down either. Somebody is committing a crime then, right? Because if you didn't write any of this stuff down, you just grabbed a person and stuck them on an airplane and sent them to another country. That's called kidnapping. Right? So, just in this one instance, these people do not care about the United States. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about America or Americans or anyone else other than their own grasp at power here. The idea is just to scare the shit out of every person so that they don't say anything. And also, there's also the other side of it is the social aspect of, like, people that come into the chat here and go like, oh, you shouldn't be talking about politics. I want to hear about fish. You understand, like, the weird social pressure to just have this idea that, like, your opinion is shut up and dribble, essentially, right? Is like, and when I say that, that's because if somebody, a basketball player or somebody in sports comes out and says like, hey, there's some fucking bullshit going on over here, and people will just turn around and say like, fuck you, go play soccer, right?
Right,
like,
exactly.
Like, what do you know about anything? You're a fucking basketball player. You're a football player. You know. Yeah. And that's also like, there's also the social side of it. There's also the social side of it from, you know, hey, your uncle's going to be upset when you tell him that he's a bigoted fucking racist psycho, right? And you're like, yeah, well, how about get him the fuck out of Thanksgiving? Send him fucking home. You know? If your uncle's like a monumental piece of shit, send his ass packing. Why the fuck does he get free turkey? You know? Like, fuck him.
Damn straight.
And, you know, it's like, but no, in life, we're supposed to treat the fucking racist bigots with kid gloves on because they'll get fucking upset. Because in the United States, there's a monumental disproportionate amount of violence coming from right-wing fucking whack jobs, right? So it's like, oh, we're supposed to be like treating those people with kid gloves because they're going to go get their gun and fucking shoot up an elementary school or whatever, right?
Instead of a Tesla dealership. Yeah.
Dango Bicon says, will you be at the opening of the store expansion in a couple of weeks. What store expansion?
There's somebody out of touch. I'm gonna guess the co-op because they have not yet opened that.
Oh, I don't have a store, so I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't work at a store or anything that has a store. Oh, but wait, there's more. If you go to this link on Amazon and buy some products, we get Amazon affiliate commissions, right? So feel free to hop over there and grab yourself a vibrator if you feel like it, or a water pump or whatever you wanted to get. Do you want to debate 20 MAGAs like Sam Cedar, but they will be dumb and racist? I mean, I might be able to do it. I feel like Sam Cedar did a pretty good job. The clip of Sam Cedar like arguing with the MAGA people, the one that is really prevalent as to like the type of people that you're talking to was the guy who was confidently stating that that essentially like government run agencies get a tax break for hiring, black people and shit, right? They get DEI tax breaks. And Sam Cedar had to say, like, our government functions are run with tax dollars. They don't get taxed. They're funded by taxes. Why would they get a tax break? They're funded by taxes. And the guy was like, no, they're not. Which is like, what?
I'm sure he was trying to convey the contractors for federal agencies, but still.
No, go watch the clip. It's much longer. I'm giving you a summary.
Right.
The guy argued over and over again that essentially like the CIA gets tax breaks and the FBI get tax breaks and Social Security and like all these fucking government agencies get tax breaks for hiring fucking DEI candidates. And Sam Cedar was just like, what the fuck? Like, they're funded by taxes. What are you talking about? They don't get tax breaks. They're not taxed. They're not a business. They're fucking funded by taxes. What the fuck? So, I wouldn't mind going on one of those, but more often than not, like one of the bigger issues is that you either have people that are trolling. You have A, people that are trolling. You have B, people that are in fact like David Duke type characters, right? These like clan members or whatever. Like there was a gal on that with Sam Cedar that came in and said, and she was saying like, what's wrong with being xenophobic? There's nothing wrong with being xenophobic, right?
Right.
And she said there's nothing wrong with being a xenophobic white nationalist. That was the full statement, something like that. Let me see if I can find it.
What a gal. There's some hot dating material right there. I run these groups and I just hear all of these people that are just so scared to even call their senators now because they're so afraid that once it's beyond people of color that are being disappeared off the street or foreign nationals that are disappeared off the street, that it's going to be just anybody. And so they're just like, so I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to place calls to my senators or my congressmen. I'm not going to go to protests.
You went robot.
I don't understand. Oh, sorry.
You're gone fucking robot. It might be me. I don't know. Is it me or is it you?
Well, you sound fine on this end, and I have a strong internet connection now because I turned on the router. So it might be you.
Could be me. I don't know. Hold on. Here you go. Here's the clip.
Xenophobic nationalism, don't you think that's better for Americans in general?
Like xenophobic nationalism is better?
We should have a coherent culture. Everyone should be a part of the same culture. We should have assimilation.
Do you get to choose what the culture is?
We already have a dominant culture.
What is
based
the dominant
on European and Christian values and identity. That is the dominant culture.
White Christian.
It's rooted in European identity. identity.
White, so your argument is
That has been the dominant culture.
Just to be
and
clear.
we're not letting people assimilate to that. We're saying
You're-
you should
Yeah, what the
keep your
fuck is going on here? Hold on.
identity.
White, so your argument is
That has been the dominant culture.
Just to be
And
clear.
we're not letting people assimilate to that. We're saying you should keep your culture, and this is why our culture's so divided.
Your argument is that Trump is good for those who want a dominant white European culture.
I mean, that is what America is. It's rooted in European identity and Christian values. That's what it has been. Would you really disagree with that? What is it then, if that's not the identity of America?
Well, I think the identity of
For the
America...
majority of time, America's been a country. You don't think that's been the identity?
Well, actually, no. I think actually the identity of America has been, for better or for worse, a melting pot in that regard.
Yeah, maybe since like the 1960s. Even then, even we had this idea.
Yeah. So, these are the people that when I say that they're like essentially David Duke characters. That girl is going on rants that she's heard from people like Ben Shapiro and shit that the United States is essentially European. What's that?
Brand laptop, $100 off. Sorry. Stop. Local warehouse for delivery. Click on the video to get $100.
I don't know what's happening. They're
Sorry.
playing commercials.
I'm
Anyhow.
trying to stop it. Sorry.
Yeah. So essentially what that gal is ranting about is that she believes that the United States is built on white European Christian values, and that's the identity of the United States, which is frankly insane. When we talk about the founding of the United States, we're a secular nation. We don't have a government appointed fucking religion like Russia does, right? Like North Korea does,
Yeah.
And Sam was essentially saying that well, for better or worse, the United States has been essentially a melting pot. And that's also been the idea of the United States. And she says, well, maybe since the 1960s, right?
What the hell?
Yeah. So it's who gives a fuck about 300 years before that of black people,
Slavery.
Native Americans, French people, never mind everyone from Asia that was here. Never mind all of the people from Mexico. Never mind all the people from the natives from Canada. The United States has been a melting pot forever. We've never had a national language up until recently with the Heritage Foundation backed fucking Project 2024 Trump administration has decided to recently pass an executive order, which it fundamentally is insane to me that they have a majority in the House of Representatives. They have a majority in the Senate. They have the fucking Supreme Court stacked with fucking paid off fucking judges. They have the executive branch with Donald Jerome Trump and fucking J.D. Vance, whatever the fuck his real name is. And they can't pass any legislation.
I don't even see that they've tried. That's the creepy thing.
What's that?
You have to wonder. They don't even try. You have to wonder what they're saving it for. What is the big end game that you're planning to call all these favors in for?
Jesus Christ, why am I getting so many fucking messages today?
Because you're fucking popular.
I hope not. Do we need bread and peanut butter? Yes. And sour cream. Oops.
I'm out of all three.
I don't know. I'm just going to agree. Greetings. I'm reaching out from we had to incorporate one of my businesses into an LLC, and now I just get a fucking endless stream of fucking text messages from people that are like, running a business is hard. Running a business is harder if you give us your information. Can we have it? Can you send us your social security number real quick? Yeah.
Yes.
And I recently had a conversation with one of my neighbors who was trying to tell me that, like, he essentially was trying to tell me, like, hey, if you see me posting anything weird, because he started commenting on shit on fucking Facebook, which I'm just on Facebook to rile people up. I mean, that's really the only reason I'm there. And he stopped me as we're going on a child's bike ride, and he was like, hey, if you see me posting anything that's like inaccurate, like, let me know. I don't want to be posting any misinformation on the internet. And I was like, dude, I quickly looked at just your Facebook page, and you were posting shit from Ben Shapiro. You were posting shit from RFK. You were posting shit from Jordan Peterson. And I was like, let's run down the list here, bro. How much money has Ben Shapiro taken from fucking oil barons and Russian oligarchs and shit to post his rambling fucking like his screed about all of this kind of shit? Like, Christian nationalism is essentially good. That's just where he's working his way into, right? And I go, like, let's talk about some of the sources here for a minute. And I basically did the rundown, like, explaining Ben Shapiro's life, where, you know, he went to school, he did get a law degree, but he moved to Hollywood right after law school so that he could go be a fucking screenwriter, right? And he failed at being a screenwriter because his writing is terrible. But he made a contact with somebody who paid him a shitload of money to start writing articles about right-wing fucking ideology. And guess what? He just kept pumping out all this fucking crazy articles. And he said, hey, you could start basically can you start doing this like as a speaking event? And then they paid for him to fly around the country to argue from a pulpit at fucking colleges, where he would essentially, air quote, own the libs from the stage, which he wasn't having an actual debate with somebody to have any kind of actual
They're losing.
like, nothing was on the line, right? There are no stakes for Ben Shapiro.
Right.
He would just be up there. He would spew a bunch of bullshit for an hour. Then people would ask him questions after the fact, and he would, air quote, own them. They would take that clip and they would put it up on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all this shit and go, look, he's fucking owning them, right? But the strange thing is, it's never a back and forth. It's Ben says a bunch of shit, stands up on a stage behind a podium. Someone asks him a question. He says some bullshit fucking response, and people go, oh, he got him, right? And it's never... no one's actually sitting there and critically breaking down any of these arguments that they're actually having. There's never pushback. There's never a back and forth with somebody who actually has some type of authority, right? It's not Ben Shapiro having arguments with somebody that has any authority. It's Ben Shapiro being in the authoritarian position, aka standing on stage, holding the microphone, having the podium, having security people around him, having a bunch of handlers there with him, having a bunch of administrators from the school there with him and whatnot to validate his position. Someone asks him a question and he rambles off some fucking nonsense, right? Whereas over and over and over and over and over again, when these people actually sit down and have a conversation with somebody who is ready to have an actual back and forth from a position of not necessarily equal authority, but at least the equal playing field and equal time on air or whatever, their shit just gets fucking blown out of the water. It's the same reason that, speaking of Sam Cedar, a perfect example would be, what's his name? Steven Crowder runs away from debates with specifically Sam Cedar, right? because Steven Crowder knows he doesn't stand a chance having a conversation with Sam Seder. Whether I agree with Sam Seder on everything or not, that's very far from. It's very far, very far from a point that really means anything. But I'm using the Sam Seder as an example because people posted it up there. That Ethan Klein had to set up Steven Crowder to have Sam Seder. There's a clip of it if you guys want to go look it up. But he had Sam Seder step in to debate instead of him do it, and Steven Crowder just like basically hung up and just left and ran away, like literally.
Jesus.
And you know, you sit here and you can go down the list of all these people that took money from Russian oligarchs through Tenet Media. Lauren Chen was accepting money from Russia and doling it out to people. Who else involved in this? Tim Pool's involved in this. Pool, Dave Rubin, Southern, Benny Johnson. Like, these fucking people were sitting all of this Russian oligarch, essentially like bribery money, to go out there and produce propaganda for Russia, essentially, right? And now the argument that like Tim Pool and Dave Rubin and these have brought up with have basically said, oh, they just paid us for licensing, right? They weren't telling us what to say. But if you're going on air and essentially doing Russian propaganda, and then somebody is giving you $100,000, $400,000, $500,000 for that, you are a Russian propagandist. Like, that's essentially what you are. And they have managed to convince like a giant portion of especially young people in the United States that apparently, air quote, the leftists are these imaginary leftists that they want to speak of are the violent portion of the population, which is factually inaccurate. There have been many studies regarding that, and you can go look them up if you like. I can look them up for you if you absolutely need somebody to do it for you. The amount of violence that happens in the United States is predominantly right wing. It just is. And whether you want to argue that or not, feel free. Go look up all the studies on it. And
Even
somehow these Russian propagandists have managed to go on air quote American airwaves. You know, we're talking about fucking YouTube and shit like that, and convince a large portion of the United States population, especially young people, that somehow leftists are for war now somehow, which I will fundamentally tell you, I am 100% anti-war. But what I am not is I'm not a pacifist, okay? Like, if you come into my house and threaten my family, I'm gonna fucking murder you, right? I have that right. I have the right to defend myself, right? But I am 100% anti-war. Now, currently, right now, Russia is invading Ukraine's house and not only committing rapes and kidnappings and fire bombings and murdering. They're doing every crime under the sun. They're even trespassing, okay? And most, if not all, of the people on the left are 100% in favor of providing Ukrainians with the tools to defend their home. And if you can't make a distinction between the fact that Ukraine was a sovereign nation as agreed to in 1991 and have had those borders since 1991, and Russia has gone over the line into another country to murder other people in another country, if you can't make that distinction in your mind, you really should take a step back from the fucking internet for 5, 10, 20 minutes at least a day and think, what the fuck am I doing here? What am I falling for? Am I falling for Jordan Peterson's insane propaganda about fucking lobster behavior? Right? Am I falling for that? Am I falling for the propaganda from people like Dave Rubin and Tim Pool and fucking Benny Shapiro that go online and try to convince people that somehow the left are the violent ones because they spray painted a Tesla? Which, by the way, don't spray paint Teslas. That's fucking stupid.
Spray paint Tesla owners.
But to somehow act like spray painting a Tesla is equivalent to a guy walking into a building and executing 8 people because he believes that black people are trying to take over America, like somehow these are even equivalent, let alone the guy spray painting a Tesla is somehow worse, is just fundamentally brain fucked. Like your brain is fucking broken, and you should really take a step back and try to evaluate what the fuck is going on with your life. You know, and by the way, I've also heard from these like pearl clutching fucking Christian pieces of shit that claim that like, oh, you're swearing, so you're the bad guy. Get fucked. You're defending a rapist. You are actively defending a rapist murderer in Putin. Right? And somehow me saying fuck or cunt is suddenly like, right? Like you're in favor of a rapist murderer. Like what the fuck are we talking about here?
Yep.
And yet I'm supposed to take those people seriously, right? The rape and murder defenders, I'm supposed to take them seriously.
There's so much hypocrisy too. It's not even just that. I mean, you look at the January 6th, his pardons are bad, but my January 6th pardons, all perfect. You know, or you can't give water to someone standing in line to vote, but I can show up and give $1 million checks to people standing in line to vote.
Right.
Or,
which is, by the way, against the law.
Yeah, you'd think so.
No, it is against the law.
I know. Yeah.
It's not like I suppose. No, it is against the law to pay for people to vote. To pay people to vote for something is against the law. But who cares? We don't care, you know.
We don't talk about that.
You know, we had to sit through fucking a decade of people clutching their pearls and crying about Hillary's emails, right?
Yep.
And yet, these guys are on Signal. These guys are on Signal.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, these aren't war plans. These are attack plans, or maybe they are war plans, or maybe it's classified, maybe it's not classified. Well, it turns out they said it's not classified, but nobody would ever characterize any of this shit that was on this Signal chat as not classified information. Like, there isn't a single person that's honestly fucking alive.
But we're not going to actually, you know, prosecute any of them. I mean, we might make Mike Waltz a sacrificial lamb depending on Trump's mood at the moment, but outside of that.
No, he already said Mike Waltz is doing a great job, and they recently interviewed him about how he's going to run for a 3rd term.
That one I have seen, yes. Yes.
Even from a standpoint of like an administration that is saying, oh, we'll have J.D. Vance run and then give over the presidency to them, to Trump. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
I
missed that particular
there are
variant.
people in his administration talking about that. We'll have J.D. Vance run, and then he'll just appoint Trump the new president.
Right, just the way Trump essentially appointed Musk, the whatever the fuck he is. Ugh, Jesus.
Junior president.
And people, I want that badge. Do you get it in a cereal box?
Yeah.
People are just blind. Like, how do they scream about term limits for Senate, but oh, hey, Trump, we want to give another shot at. Oh my God. And we're not even 3 months through all of this. Good Lord. I wake up exhausted every day from all this shit.
Well, it's basically beyond. It's beyond the pale now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That like there's no way that somebody could convince themselves at this point that it isn't 100% like a grasp at seizing authoritarianism in the United States, right?
Well, no way a thinking person could convince himself that it's not, but the supporters that are out there pushing back at everybody that's saying stop. I cannot. The fact that poll that came out today that, oh, he's really gaining popularity points on his immigration policies. But, you know, nobody's happy with the economy. Okay, well, pick a road by which you're going to judge the guy, and if you're only voting because it influences you, the immigration policies are probably not going to bother the Trump base. So get up and get mad about the fucking economy if that's what it takes. But no, he's still perfect. Did I lose you?
Hold on, I'm getting a whole long string of messages from my neighbor, who I may have to block because I'm like, if you want to have these big conversations, then like come have them out in public, you know. But right now he's trying to argue semantics with me, and he's saying he doesn't want to argue semantics, and he's bringing up like his child care payments and all this stuff, and it's like, I understand that like people don't want to argue semantics about certain things like this Signal chat, which he's saying that like yesterday he was telling me that the Signal chat, he didn't see anything in there that would be considered confidential. It's like, first off, if we're talking about like our public facing opinion, let's go through the Signal chat. Let's just fucking go through it because I didn't sit here and try to remember it all.
Yeah, our forward facing when the vice president and the secretary of state talk about how tired they are of
Okay,
Europe.
hold on. We're pulling up the fucking.
Sorry.
If I say we're gonna go
Sorry.
through it, we're gonna like just chill.
All right.
Just chill.
Fine.
Fuck.
You know I don't chill. I'm not
Chill.
a chiller. No. Fuck you.
Okay. If you guys are familiar with what Signal is, it's a private company app for like encrypted end-to-end messaging. So, the thing is like it's a secure way to have a chat with somebody back and forth if you can verify that this person is the person you think it is, which you can't on Signal. Now, the other side of it with Signal would be that, like, is somebody looking over your shoulder? Is key logging your phone, right? Because, like, you don't need to hack Signal in order to get this information from somebody's phone. Just one of the big issues
With any of these apps.
with any of this and how this is being done, how this is being handled, right? For Pete Hegseth and Michael Waltz and
Rubio.
JD Vance, the fact that Joe Kent is in here at all is insane. This is a guy from Washington State who's running for a district twice already. This is a dude that hangs out with fucking Nick Fuentes, known fucking white supremacist guy.
Always amusingly, ironically named Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
White supremacist.
Anyhow, so I'm establishing a principals group for coordinating on Houthis, particularly over the next 72 hours. Alex Wong is pulling together a Tiger team at Deputy/Chief of Staff level following from the meeting in the sit room this morning for action. I'm finding that out later this evening. Now, right here in this very sentence, in this very first statement, it tells you why this is wrong. Okay? Why were they in a sit room this morning? Why were they in a sit room? Does anybody understand? Sit room. Okay?
There's a situation.
The situation room is literally these people go sit in person in a room to make sure that no one is fucking listening in on this conversation of this sensitive material. But a group on Signal where we're going to go over the stuff again over the next 72 hours. Please provide the best staff POC person. What is it? Person in charge or person of contact?
Personnel in charge.
I don't know.
Yeah.
From your team for us to coordinate with over the next couple days, over the next weekend. Thanks. Mike Needham for state. Andy
point
Baby.
of contact.
Point of contact. Yeah, okay, that's what it is. Joe Kent. Dan Caldwell for the Department of Defense. All the people in here. All the people in here doing this. Tulsi Gabbard, right? Head of fucking. What is it? She's the head of information.
Intelligence. Yeah.
She has Joe on her
Ironic
staff.
again. Go ahead.
She has Joe Kent on her staff that is fucking. Oh. He can't in a district race, Washington State, because he's that much of a fucking racist weirdo. Okay? In a district that is right wing, by the way.
Yeah.
And is working for Tulsi Gabbard as a point of contact on a checklist here that says this is what we're talking about over the next 72 hours with bombing the Houthis. And it's the list named Houthi PC, right? It's about the Houthis.
Right.
It's about bombing the Houthis, which is happening in Yemen. Okay, we've already narrowed the search down to a small country of Yemen and the Houthis. Team, you should have a set of conclusions with taskings per the president's guidance this morning in your high stake or in your high side inboxes. State and Department of Defense we developed notification for regional allies and partners. Joint Staff is sending this AM a specific sequence of events in the coming days, and we will work with DoD to ensure COS, OVP, and POTUS are briefed. Team, I am out for the day and doing an economic event in Michigan, but I think we are making a mistake. 3% of U.S. trade does. 40% of European trade does. There's no risk that the public doesn't understand this or why it's necessary. The strongest reason to do this, as Pope said, to send a message. But I am not sure the president is aware how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There's a further risk that we see a moderate diseases, which already. I am willing to support the consensus of the team and keep the consensus itself, but there's an argument for delaying this a month. Messaging work on why this matters and seeing where the economy is, etc. There's time sensitive driving the timeline. will have the exact same opinions or options in a month. This is from Joe Kent, the fucking racist guy from Washington. He's a fucking neo-Nazi weirdo. The Israelis will likely take strikes, and therefore ask for more support to replenish whatever they use against the Houthis. But that's a minor. I will send you the data we pulled on BAM shipping. From John Ratcliffe. From CIA perspective, we are mobilizing assets to play would not negatively impact us, and additional time would be used to identify better starting points for coverage on Houthi leadership. So basically what these guys are saying right now, that there's essentially no recovery for the Houthis or anything that's really going to change in a month. So there really isn't any reason to do it. From BP, this is from the guy from intelligence and Cliff. All saying just delay a month and it really wouldn't change anything. I understand your concerns and I fully support your raising with POTUS. Important considerations which are tough to know how they play out in Ukraine, peace, Gaza, etc. I think messaging is going to be tough no matter what. Nobody knows who are. Okay. Pete Hegseth does know who the Houthis are, which is why we would need to insist on one, Biden failed, and two, Iran funded. So their messaging isn't to, their messaging to themselves is that nobody knows who the Houthis are. And their answer to it is Biden failed and Iran was funded. So really not going to explain who the Houthis are to anybody. They're not going to try to edge the American populace on what's up with the Houthis, who the Houthis are, what's going on there. Nope. We're going to tell you that Biden failed, Iran was funded, which, by the way, the United States gave back Iranian money that was seized from Iran. Okay. One way or another, the money back because it wasn't up to just the United States. There was a coalition that was voting whether or not Iran should be able to get their money back, and it was pretty clear that they were going to vote to give the money back. So the United States, as a point to spin it as positively possible for us as a peoples, just gave them the money back ahead of time instead of forced to go vote because they're like, hey, look, we're reasonable, we'll work with you, right? So whether you like it or not, we're going to get the money. Waiting a few to go back to the messages here, waiting a few weeks or a month does not fundamentally change the calculus. Okay, so I guess it doesn't change the two immediate risks on waiting. One, this leaks and we look into. So they already know that the possibility that this shit could get leaked. Okay. Two, Israel takes an action first, or a Gaza ceasefire. This on our own terms. We can manage both. So the two reasons that they believe to wait on attacking Houthis and killing people, okay, that this, which it did get out, okay, and they looked indecisive, which they obviously already do look indecisive because this already got out. Two, Israel takes an action first, or ceasefire falls apart, which the Gaza ceasefire, because Israel has proves that they just can't stop bombing Palestine. They just can't.
No, it's
and
just
we don't
not
get
in their DNA.
And we don't get to start this on our own terms. I don't think it's, by the way, I in their DNA. I fundamentally disagree with that statement. I don't believe that has anything to do with their DNA. It has, I think I believe that has everything with their government is essentially trying to take over more land. They're doing the same thing that Russia think it has anything DNA. And
All right, I apologize.
what the Americans were saying here was we don't get to start this on our own terms. Which they basically want on their own terms to be able to murder people with bombs. Okay. And they think that we can manage both. Then following up here, it says we are prepared to execute. And if I had a final go or a no-go vote, I believe we should. This is not about the Houthis. So it's not even about the people that they're going to murder. I see it as two things. Restore freedom of navigation, a core national interest. Okay. So, as I have mentioned before on streams, the United States accepted the responsibility of essentially policing the waterways and shipping and sort of stabilizing shipping globally. After World War II, it's something that we signed up to do. And we signed about it. And the reasoning for that was stated at the time was to stop proliferation of weapons around the world, constant armament of people getting ready to go fight each other, right? Because you can't get enough corn, and every people their guns off to get corn, essentially. And then number 2 down here is deterrence, which Biden cratered. Okay, Biden, in their opinion, didn't murder bombs and missiles and drone strikes, so established deterrence by murdering some people that, as highlighted up here, nobody even they are. Okay, so somehow this is supposed to be a deterrence, right? By murdering some people that you said 5 sentences ago that the people nobody even knows are, and you refuse to educate anybody because
they don't even matter.
And it doesn't even matter because you're not going to educate anybody about who they are. But we can easily pause, and if we do, I will do all I can to enforce 100% national security. This is what OPSEC stands for. I welcome other thoughts. So he's obviously not even Dan. His own statement here. Weird. Connection, or is there in the stream? There must be stuttering in the stream. That's what's got to be going on. It's got to be something on my end because I've got weird shit on over here with the clicking sound.
Oh, I think it's me. Stuttering here too. I was figuring it was some weirdness.
I think it's me. One of two options: restart, or just keep going. What do you think?
Well, I'm afraid that if you restart, you're going to lose whoever's here. So, I don't know. That's a tough call.
We just lose them. Loses them too. All right, let's restart.
For me, I'm on Discord. Wait,
oh, you'll be gone. No. I'm restarting the computer. All right.
You're going to restart the whole shebang. See you in a minute.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, whoops. I opened task manager.
Now you're silly. It's a whole new world. I did. I was on my phone previously, and now I've moved to my tablet. Oh, no. Not that. Let's see. Where am I? Whoa. Shit. I don't know. If I turn you on, I can't turn off the sound, so I am no help. I'm still here. Oh. Check. Chat. Yo.
Hello?
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 Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Is this the party to whom I am speaking?
No. Yes?
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. As to whether you're back on the tubes of you, I cannot tell you.
I gave him a hello. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we'll see if it comes back on. If anybody tells us we're live again, we'll find out.
Wouldn't it just go to turn it off and start a new one?
No, I'm just right back into the same event. So it should be broadcasting now, but I don't know. Can't tell.
I can't either because I don't have volume control anywhere that I can find it on the stupid app.
I don't know.
I'm
Are we
sure it's
back?
there.
That's a question.
Alyssa or Dogs should come in and tell us if we are back.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know if we're back or not. We may never know. And we may never know. We may never know. We may never know if we're back, but we might as well just keep broadcasting, right?
We'll just keep sitting here until,
Yeah, I mean,
nightfall.
yeah, 5 o'clock rolls around, and then we'll just leave.
Somebody asks you for peanut butter.
Yeah, someone will
Whatever.
call. Someone will call and ask if I need peanut butter or not.
Are you alive? Did you forget?
I did.
Man,
I forgot the peanut butter.
I could use some peanut butter. I ate all the rest of mine mid last week. Cannot wait to get off of this mountain. I thought I was going to be clear to get down. It was sunny all day yesterday and had been drying out for the couple of days previous. And it has done nothing but dump rain on me for the last 24 hours. My driveway looks like a bog. So I continue to sit here.
Have you gone completely bogged out now?
Well, I haven't gotten the truck stuck, but I would not send soldiers in an armored vehicle up my driveway. That was really sad. I shouldn't joke about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're back. We're live, but no one's even chatting. So maybe we're, like, really quiet or something, and they don't know why. Because I literally was doing a thing that was only the thing I was doing just now.
Mm-hmm. Well, hold on a second. I will mute you here and go and see what YouTube gives me.
Oh, I can look it up. Just chill.
All right,
Don't worry.
fine.
Don't mute anything.
I will not assist.
Me channel. Let's see. Hold on, we'll check. Really quiet or something. And they don't know why.
Yep, that's it. Don't sound
Because I literally was doing a thing that was only the thing I was doing just now. No, that's us. Yeah, we are live. Okay. Yeah, no, don't do that. I'm going to tell you not to do that. Don't do that. Well, I guess maybe it was like super stuttery earlier, so maybe that's why people were not hanging around. Oh, yeah. No, that's funny. Yeah, it was doing that for me, too. So apparently my stream was all fucked today, so, well, either way. Maybe people will reclip some Max Headroom stuff. I just don't know why anybody isn't chatting. Hello? Oh.
the next hour. Hello. That's stupid.
There we go. I'm
Yeah,
burping.
that transferred. through
Hot
beautifully.
burps on a hot mic, dude. What's up now? Oh my God, it's very professional around here. I don't know. Are we stuttering anymore? So I don't think we are. It didn't seem like we were.
No. Oh, I had hot.
Oh, Sarah Baker says, you are live, but I just realized it by looking at Discord because no live notification went out. Yeah, I didn't have the chance to set up the stream early today because everything took like fucking so much longer today to do than it normally would take. It just like every stupid thing I needed to do today, like order wood and shit like that, where it was like, oh, this should probably take 10 minutes. Like, nope. 55 minutes later, I'm done. Okay. You know what I mean? So it was really a day like that. It was really, really, really a day like that. And I didn't have a chance to like come in here at 11 a.m. and set up the stream so that YouTube would have enough time to send out some kind of notification. And so, yeah, it just doesn't. It's like, oh, fucking never mind. We just won't send a notification even though you just went live to people that want notifications. So, yeah, I don't ask me why it does that. Probably just because there's so many people broadcasting nowadays. That's probably why. They don't want to
Press the notification system.
Yeah. Breast cancer survival rate in 1920, 5%. Breast cancer survival rate in 1960, 25%. Breast cancer survival rate in 1990, 64 to 80%. Breast cancer survival rate in 2025, 91%.
But hey, we don't need those research departments.
Dude, what in
for
the
federal
fuck notification is this shit? God damn it. Stop.
government. Sorry, was I too loud?
This computer has Norton on it.
Oh, that's
And as you know, I think you know as well as anyone else out there that like once you install Norton onto your computer, there's nothing you can do to get rid of it anymore. You know what I mean? And it had linked. It was like linked to an email, and it like automatically downloaded it and updated it when I built this computer. It's like fuck. No going back. Okay, I guess we have Norton utilities now. Great. So then it'll just pop crazy ass notifications like, look at all this hard work that Norton's doing, and you're like, stop doing that. I turned you off. Okay, whatever. Kiwi Mamo says we're back. Are we still live? Yes, we're still live. No, it sounds great now. I was dead, but I was brought back to life by evanescence. Oh, good. Solid point. Solid point. We were reviewing the signal thing, so maybe we should go back to reviewing that.
Yes, because we hadn't gotten to the meaty parts yet.
Yeah. All right. Hold on. Let me get this so it's in the window.
We were still at the nobody knows who the Houthis are, including us.
Right.
No one cares. So let's bomb them.
No one cares, but let's bomb them because it's a deterrent. As I established earlier, like bombing people that nobody knows who they are, how can that possibly be a deterrent? I don't know, but that's apparently how our current administration thinks. We'll go to the next one here. This is the one we were at. Right here. Okay, this is where we're at. We're at Michael Walls. Right after Pete Hegseth was saying all we can do to enforce 100% operational security. Michael Waltz says the trade figures we have are 15% of global and 30% of container, which is essentially talking about what's that?
Shipping?
Yeah. How much shipping goes through the Suez Canal, which the Houthis are affecting, right? He says it's difficult to break that down to U.S. specific because much of the container either going through the Red Sea still or around the Cape of Good Hope, our components going to Europe that turns into manufactured goods for transatlantic trade to the United States, which is a difficult sentence to read. Whether we pull the plug or not today, European navies, do not have the capability to defend against the type of sophisticated anti-ship cruise missiles and drones the Houthis are now using. So whether it's now or several weeks from now, it will have to be the United States that reopens these shipping lanes. Per the President's request, we are working with Department of Defense and state to determine how to compile the cost associated and levy them on the Europeans. So essentially what Michael Waltz here is saying, we don't really know how much of the trade going through the Suez Canal is actually actually going to affect the U.S. because a lot of it goes to Europe, then gets turned into manufactured goods, and then goes to the United States. And he's saying, whether we pull the plug today or not, the European navies do not have the capability to defend against the types of sophisticated anti-ship cruise missiles and drones the Houthis are now using. Which, by the way, where are those all manufactured? Let's just take a broad scope step back here and go, like, who's manufacturing all of this crap that the Houthis are using? So whether it's now or several weeks from now, it will have to be the United States that reopens these shipping lanes. Per the President's request, we are working with the Department of Defense and State to determine how to compile the cost. So they're going to try to compile the cost. They don't know how much this is going to cost. They don't have a ballpark, but they're going to figure out how to compile the cost and then levy it on the Europeans. Okay, which we don't even know who the Europeans really are in this. Michael Waltz just thinks it's the Europeans, whoever that large group is. As we stated in the first PC, I don't know what the PC is, I'll be honest with you. Private commission or something? I don't know. We have a fundamental decision of allowing the sea lanes to remain closed or reopen them now or later. We are the only ones with the capability, unfortunately, which is inaccurate. It's this constant saber rattling of like the only people that are capable of doing anything is us, obviously, because then we can send a bill to the air quote the Europeans. From a messaging standpoint, we absolutely add this two of horribles. That's why it's hard to read this stuff because grammar's not great. On why the Europeans must invest in their defense. JD Vance says to @Pete Hegseth, if you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing out Europe again. Let's just make sure our messaging is tight here. And if there are things we can do up front to minimize the risk to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it. Once again, J.D. Vance thinks he's bailing out Europe, which, as highlighted earlier here by Mike Waltz, one comment behind the last comment, we don't even know who this is going to benefit because it's difficult to break it down, right? So these people don't even have an idea of how much this will benefit us or won't benefit us. But J.D. Vance is bold enough to claim that we're bailing out Europe. Okay? So as highlighted in this conversation, they don't even know if this is bailing out Europe, if this is aiding the United States, if this is aiding the world. They don't even know. They have not even come to a conclusion on who this is air quote bailing out. But yet J.D. Vance thinks that we're bailing out Europe. Pete Hegseth to the VP says, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic. Okay. Like, first off, this isn't a comment that should be being made by any of our administration because it is factually incorrect that Europe is freeloading. Okay. And to be talking this way about one of our longest standing allies, if we are, for instance, talking about the European Union or the UK, or are we talking about Ireland? Where are we talking about? Europe. Like the European freeloading, right? France has taken over our nuclear development, for instance, right? Because we don't want to do it here anymore. Because there was a nuclear program here in the United States trying to figure out cold fusion, essentially. There was also a facility in France. Both of those facilities were competing with each other. France said, hey, we'll take it on, send your scientists over here, and we'll all work together. That's just one tiny little thing out of a giant pile of things that is happening cooperatively between European nations and the United States. We're collaborative on a ton of things, and for them to be considered freeloading, it's pathetic that you would have that assumption that they're freeloading. Now back to the quote here. But Mike is correct. We're the only ones on the planet on our side of the ledger who can do this. Nobody else even close. Okay, nobody else even close. Okay, that's a sentence apparently. Question is timing. I feel like now is a good time as any, given POTUS directive to reopen shipping lanes. I think we should go, but POTUS still retains 24 hours of decision space. So Pete Hegseth here in his infinite wisdom says, whatever this statement is supposed to say, that we're the only ones that could have any kind of interaction with this, opening the shipping lanes, right? Which is not necessarily accurate at all.
Right.
Because why are the Houthis closing the shipping lanes? First off, we got to think about the question. Like, why are the Houthis closing the shipping lanes? Right? Is it because is it because the Houthis don't want Israel to continue bombing the Palestinians who just can't even defend themselves anymore? Could you maybe figure out how to get that, and then you could come to an agreement with the Houthis to stop shooting tankers as they go by?
Right.
Now, he says, the question is timing. I feel like now is as good a time as any. So if now is as good a time as any to commit murders, right, like by bombing people to death, then why do it now? If now is just as good as any time, then why do it now? Right? Like, doing it now would mean, oh, wow, this is imperative. We must do action right now. There's something that needs to happen. But if your opinion is that any time is as good as now, then why do it now? You have to be fundamentally brain dead to make this statement, especially type it out and read it and then hit send, right? If now is as good as any time, then do it next week, or do it next month, or do it next year, or do it 10 years from now, right? But why do it now? Why is it important to do it right now? Because you're clearly stating you want to do it right now, which is you want to push the button that's going to send some bombs to people. Now, I forget who SM here is. It says, as I heard it, the president was clear, green light, but we soon make clear to Egypt and Europe what we expect in return. We also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement. Example given, if Europe doesn't remunerate, then what? If the U.S. successfully restores freedom of navigation at great cost, there needs to be some further economic gain extracted in return. So now, these are high-ups in the United States government talking about how we need to extract economic gain from what is considered a supposed police action, right? So imagine this. Someone breaks into your house and they start butt-fucking your wife, and you don't want them to be doing that. The police show up and they say, give me money before I stop the guy from butt-fucking your wife. Or I won't. I'll just leave, right? Now, you can understand how that might cause a problem when it comes to policing, as it were, right? Because it's a pay-to-play scenario. So Europe says, in the future, anytime that there would be a thing going on, guess what? They're not going to ask the United States anymore. They're not going to be involved with the United States anymore. They'll just start bombing whatever they feel like bombing. Now, I think the average sane-thinking human being could start to understand how this could become a problem over time if the Europeans just start shooting boats out of the water or whatever other equivalent of the Houthis, who these guys don't even know who they are, admittedly, in this text thread. You could see how that would fundamentally become a problem if we don't have some sort of cooperative policing going on, right? And Pete Hegseth agrees to this statement, which is insane.
Sam is Stephen Miller, a Trump advisor.
Oh, it's Stephen Miller. Oh my God, who's insane, by the way. An insane person. I'm getting messages like crazy.
Your next door neighbor wants to broski with you.
Okay. It's the wife. Now Pete Higgs said with the follow-up of a team update. Time now, 11:44 Eastern Time. It's kind of questionable why anybody would be doing that. They're just doing Eastern Time. But anyhow, here we are. Weather is favorable. So we got a weather update just confirmed with CENTCOM. We are a go for mission launch. At 12:15 Eastern Time, the F-18s are going to fly into the air. First strike package. So F-18s expected to fly up into Yemeni airspace, right? Now you've limited the geographical area of where these F-18s are going to be flying, and they're going to be making a strike somewhere. Okay? 1 hour and a half later, at 3:45 Eastern Time, a trigger-based F-18 first strike window starts. Target terrorist is at his known location, so should be on time. Also, strike drone launch, MQ-9s. So now you've got another group of F-18s in the sky and some drone launches, and they're targeting a terrorist location in Yemen, which very much limits where this can be. Once again, more F-18s launch, second strike package at 14:10 Eastern Time. 14:15 strike drones on target. This is when the first bombs will definitely drop, pending earlier trigger-based targets. 15:36 two F-18 second strike starts. Also, first sea-based Tomahawks launched. So this is a very specific breach, right, of confidential information. J.D. Vance says, I will say a prayer for victory. Michael Waltz set disappearing message time to 4 weeks, which, first off, this is also a big time fiasco with the Presidential Records Act. These communications all need to be saved. They can't be disappearing from commercially purchased fucking apps on your phone.
Free, actually, but yes.
Michael Waltz follow-up. VP, building collapsed, had multiple positive ID. Pete Carilla, the IC, amazing job. JD Vance says, what? Michael Waltz, typing too fast. The first target, their top missile guy, we had a positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building, and now it's collapsed. JD Vance, excellent. He loves it. He loves it when people are murdered in a building. Good job, Pete, and your team. The team in MAL, I don't know what that is, did a great job as well. Great work, powerful start. CENTCOM is on point, okay? This right here is another big issue.
Hello?
It's just fundamentally like bizarro world that we have here, where CENTCOM is on point. Great job, all. More strikes ongoing for hours tonight, and we'll provide a full initial report tomorrow. But on time, on target, and as good readouts so far. And meanwhile, like, everybody's just celebrating the end of some people's lives, right? And I've had like interactions with people that would be like, oh, I bet you would celebrate when Hitler was murdered. You know, when you found out Hitler was dead. And you go like, yeah, I don't think I would. I don't think I would have. I would have much rather seen Hitler on trial and then just sit in a jail cell until he died of natural causes, all by himself, you know?
Bin Laden would be the contemporary example. You know,
Yeah.
did people celebrate with Bin Laden?
I don't like that he was murdered. I don't like that. Right?
Yep.
I am anti-war and I'm anti-murder. I don't know about you guys. I'm anti-war and I'm anti-murder. I don't celebrate murders. I don't do that. Regardless of whether they're a good or bad person, right? Like, I am against the death penalty, right? Like, I don't want governments executing people without due process, right? And the big issue is that, like, if you go, well, how long does the due process last for? And you go, quite a long time when execution is on the line, right? Because they're going to constantly make appeal after appeal after appeal after appeal after appeal after appeal after appeal. And it's also, if maybe you're in favor of murder, but you're fiscally conservative, as conservatives claim to be, fiscally responsible, would you want to continue going through all of these endless sea of appeals, right, that are a gigantic waste of time and money? Kiwi Mama says he wasn't murdered, he committed suicide. We don't know that. Let's be clear. We don't know that. It's reported he committed suicide. But we don't know that. We don't really know. What we do know is that he didn't go to trial like a lot of the Nazis did. A lot of Nazis were brought. Those trials went on for a long, long time. I think they went on into the 60s, I believe.
Into the 80s. Pulled out of Argentina still.
I mean, yeah, there were some later, but I'm saying like for like the considered like continuous, you know.
Okay. For the Nuremberg.
Yeah.
Trial.
Yeah, and also here's my point is that like from a sort of like psychotic perspective, like I feel like these people should be held in a cell and kept alive so that we can learn more from them, right? And people would be like, well, what do you want to like learn from Hitler? It's like, no, I want to learn what's wrong with Hitler, right? I wanted to be able to him sit and be scrutinized to a point of knowing that it actually was the fact that he didn't make it in art school that led him to the mayhem that he created, right?
Right.
I would personally like to know these kinds of things like in a really in-depth way that we really didn't get to know from like a clear scientific study perspective, right? Like, I think it's horrific to keep gorillas in cages. You know what I mean? Like, it just sucks. Like, I was at the zoo yesterday, and I was thinking about this. Like, some of those creatures, man, they just really, really, really do not want to be in here. The penguins did not seem to mind. They didn't seem to give a fuck.
There's fish, there's water, we're good.
Yeah. Like, giraffes, they didn't seem to give a fuck either, because they're just like, I'm just a little piggy wiggy with a long neck, you know? But there certainly are some creatures at the zoo where you're like, these orangutans do not want to be in here. Like, these chimpanzees are not enjoying their time. That leopard is walking in a circle and a circle and a circle. Like, that leopard is stressed the fuck out, you know? And so I was thinking about this from an aspect of like, what sounds sort of psychotic, it sounds sort of Dexter-like or whatever, right? Is that like capturing serial killers, putting them on trial, and then putting them in maximum security with like 9 continuous life sentences or what is not continuous, consecutive life sentences. It's like, this guy's never getting out. He's never going to get parole. It's never going to happen. But like, what can we learn from keeping Jeffrey Dahmer alive, right? Like over the years of study,
Right.
it could be profound for the benefit of humanity to identify certain aspects of humanity that could be
Beneficial to our future that we can
yeah, I mean,
stop.
like if you could intervene when an 11-year-old, something bad happens to them, and it would lead them down the road of like, next week they're killing bunny rabbits. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and to that point, even in this group that we're reading about, how fascinating would it be to figure out where their empathy switch got clicked off?
It's definitely turned off, and it would be interesting to know like when and where that happened. You know?
Yeah, like at what point do they know who these fuckers are? And this guy walked into the building. That line haunts me. He just walked into the building of his girlfriend. The structure is collapsed.
Yeah.
So the girlfriend, at base, collateral damage. It's an apartment building, we're assuming. So all of the other people there that
Well,
are
you're
just
definitely assuming that it's an apartment building, so we don't know that. But some kind of building, it's likely that there are more people in there.
right.
Yeah.
And that's just and it's like, yay! Like, fuck you.
Yeah, I mean they're literally celebrating and jumping up and down, and popping emojis, American flag emojis, because somebody was just murdered. You know, like that's, and that's like a level of psychosis that is quite like detrimental to the public service. You know, like I pretty regularly and frequently am having conversations with people that have claims that, for instance, Elon Musk is finding all this waste, fraud, and abuse, right? And I was talking to a buddy of mine who was in the military at one point, 30 years ago or whatever. And he was talking about, like, I saw it all the time. Like, they were wasting shit in the military, and they were wasting this, and they were wasting that. And you go, like, okay, first off, like, as a guy who's in the military, right? Like you're some fucking grunt that greases wheels in the motor pool, right? Like where is it where's your expertise coming in that they're wasting money? Like where does your expertise come into play with your opinion that they're wasting money? Right? And a good example would be like, oh, they bought $100 pens for the space, or $1,000 pens for the space station or whatever, right? But you come to figure out that like they never did buy $1,000 pens for the space station. They used to use pencils, and I think what pen company is it? Pilot or something?
Right.
Pen
probably.
made for space by what company history? Fisher made it. The Fisher Pen Company was designed to write in zero gravity and extreme condition, and has been used on every manned space flight since Apollo 7 in 1968. Independent development. Paul Fisher founded the Fisher Pen Company, independently developed the Space Pen as a private commercial venture without any funding from NASA. NASA faced challenges with traditional pencils and pens in space, which wouldn't function in zero gravity. And the pencils would break. The graphite would break and float around. And you could understand how that's a problem inside your spaceship, right? So Fisher invested $1 million of his own money to create a pen that could write in zero gravity, extreme temperatures, and underwater. The Space Pen features a pressurized ink cartridge and thixotropic ink, allowing it to write in any orientation and in extreme conditions. And how much do they sell them to NASA? Because they sell them all around the world. The last report that I saw was that NASA buys them in bulk for an average of $3 per pen. Yeah, $2. Yeah. Subsequently, in 1967, it was reported that NASA purchased approximately 400 pens for $2.95 apiece. an equivalent to $28 in 2024. So, kind of an expensive pen, but for $28 you could buy a space pen in $2024, right? And this has nothing to do with NASA. It has nothing to do. It's a private company made these pens, and Fisher bought them for $3. But how many times have you heard that NASA buys $1,000 pens? Right?
Right.
But it's not true. It's made up. It's made up bullshit.
Well, much like Doge's report, you know, of the whole, oh, well, we saved this many billion, and then they go in and they look and they say, well, those contracts were already canceled before you even shuttered this department, so we'll take that off, we'll take that off, we'll take that off.
As reported in 1998, ever since the Defense Department procurement scandals of the 1980s, the $600 hammer has been held up as an icon of Pentagon incompetence, immortalized in the Hammer Awards that Vice President Al Gore's program to reinvent government gives out to waste cutters. This absurdly overpriced piece of hardware has come to symbolize all that's wrong with the government's financial management. One problem: there never was a $600 hammer, says Steve Kellman, public policy professor at Harvard University's John F. Kennedy School of Government and a former administrator of the Office of Federal Procurement Policy. It was, he said, an accounting artifact. The military bought the hammer, Kellman explained, bundled it into one bulk purchase of many different spare parts, but when the contractors allocating the engineering expenses among the individual spare parts on the List A bookkeeping exercise that had no effect on the price the Pentagon paid overall, they simply treated every item the same. So the hammer, originally $15, picked up the same amount of research and development overhead, $420, as each of the highly technical components retired procurement official Leroy Haw. Later news stories inflated the $435 figure to $600. The hammer got as much overhead as an engine, Kellman continued, despite the fact the hammer cost much less than $420 to develop, and the engine cost much more, but nobody ever said what a great deal the government got on the engine.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, this is the shit that is continually like cycling around our society with some fucking bullshit that is just made up. And it's just because it's an accounting artifact that why would people need to sit around and itemize every single item purchased in a bulk purchase of stuff when they just averaged it out and said, this whole thing was $30,000 and it's got an engine and a hammer and a blah, 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 and it's got all this shit in it. But do we really need to know like the exact cost of every single item? Because we're the government. We don't really need to waste time on that. We can just move on to the next thing. Now, as a business, you need to itemize these purchases. But as a business, rarely do I ever buy bulk bunches of stuff, right? Like I don't ever buy an engine and a hammer and a thing and a thing and a thing in one big crate. But the government does. So it's just this ongoing fucking bullshit. I hear my daughter and my wife, so I got to go. I got to help them unload because Vicky only has one arm. So love you guys. Bye. I'm not stuttering anymore or whatever, but bye. Oh, that's loud.